Bam. Cool. So yeah, the GMC. Some of you may know it as everyone's favorite management committee, um, and then some of you may not. So let's talk about what the GMC is. So the GMC was created to reward contributions and enhance the Rocket Pool experience for every member. So they fund things like marketing initiatives, they fund development work. It's a way to take the Rocket Pool protocol a step further using the DAO, using like that protocol DAO, that decentralized entity. And it's an evolving, transparent framework for the awarding of these funds, right? So what I mean by that is every month the grants and management committee has a town hall, so anyone can go in that town hall. That you get to hear from the GMC, you get to hear from other community members, and essentially it's a retrospective of last month's round. So they'll talk about what came up in applications, is there anything in the process that didn't work, and what can we optimize, what can we change. And when I say evolving, I mean it because after those retrospectives, there's several a dozen action items that get made, and we do our best to make sure those go into the next round. That way, we're constantly incrementing improvements and making things better, because the GMC is one of the best ways to scale this protocol, especially where the entire community can interact and make that happen. So how does that work being on the GMC? There's a nomination process that an election starts. They run once every year, but sometimes if people back out, that elections will start sooner. So for instance, Encryptix is an awesome community member. I can go and write, hey, I really think that I'm going to nominate Encryptix. He's great at ABC. He's loyal. He's around all the time. He can help with this. And then Encryptix can basically write a nomination, a statement saying, this is why I want to be in the GMC. I can help with ABC. But you can also nominate yourself, right? I nominated myself a year ago, and now I'm here. I'm just disclaimer, I'm no longer a member. I'm the administrator. So Jasper had a good statement. These are my own views, not the GMC's. So that's the nomination process. And then you'll see the image on the right. It goes to a weighted vote snapshot. So, this was last election. Joe, Ken, Whack Whack, anyone can be a part of that committee that can make those super important decisions, deciding what we fund and what we want to make happen to improve the protocol. So let's look at some of the members now. A lot of Joe, Dondo, Rocknet, Ken, Looking for Owls, Epinef, Whack, RPL Maxi, Dr. Doofus. If you run into any of those guys, some of them are here. Ken, great job so far running this awesome event that funded by the GMC. These guys are all volunteers, right? So they're putting in their hard work, their time, making the protocol better. Same thing with the incentives management committee. Yoakum, Ramana, sorry, I've been trying to get his name right all week. I hope I did better. Jasper, awesome people, also volunteers. They're a part of the incentives management committee. But yeah, this is how we get things done. We volunteer, we work together, and so what's a grant, right? A grant's intended if you want to do the work yourself. So for instance, I have a POAP grant, right? I wrote an application to the GMC. I said, hey guys, I'm good at graphic design. This is what I think we should do. Do you like it, right? This is what I'm proposing. These are the details. This is the funding I'm requesting. And then they can decide, right? The committee meets together. They choose whether or not we should fund this. And some great examples of this: Rocket Fuel, Rescue Node. If your node goes down, you can just hop onto the rescue node and get your validator testing again. Super important media coverage like Twitter Spaces, POAPs, and that's grants. So there's three types of awards. There's grants. The second one is bounties. Bounties are open-ended, right? So, if I really see something Rocket Pool needs, but I don't know how to do it, I can basically say, hey, someone needs to do this, right? Because that's what we need to get implemented to get to this stage or whatever. So, great examples of some bounties that have recently come out: the tree gen support bounty, documentation updates. There's some bigger ones coming out, like non-custodial staking as a service, an all nodes competitor bounty was just accepted, and there's a bunch of parties interested in that. So that should be an awesome big project. But in terms of organizing the bounties and really scaling that, there was a recent project that launched a couple weeks ago called the rpbountyboard.com, which is an unofficial community-built project where bounty hunters can go and see all these bounties, right? They can filter them by their skill sets. So not everything has to be, development related, right? You can be good at writing. You can be good at graphic design. So this is one place to go where you can see, oh, like the Rocket Pool community has decided they need this. I can do this. I can, be a part of this. The final award type is the retrospective awards. I swear that E wasn't cut off when I made the slide. But yeah, retrospective awards are prior funding, right? So they're things that were built in the past. When the GMC was built, there were so many amazing projects that were built before that. So, for instance, like Rocket Scan, Rocket Watch, those were some past projects that the GMC needed to fund. Some people choose to do retrospective awards moving forward as well, because if a project's like really large or a project just happens, right, you can just start some work today, and then give details of what you did, the hours involved, the work involved, and submit a retrospective award. There's a ton of people of you in here that may qualify for that. So take a look at that, check that out. And so let's look at what the GMC has funded over the last year. So the GMC has been out around a year. They funded $100K for support, which I think is an amazing number considering everyone I've talked to has just said, hey, Rocket Pool support is amazing. So they funded $340K for marketing, $370K for development, and $97K for governance. When you add all the numbers together, including some numbers not on here, they've spent about $1 million in the past year, which crypto you need to invest. And yeah. So they have $1.5 million left. I think we all agree that with 2024, with the Samus and Valor's proposal, the threat of Lido CSM, we need to spend that money, right? So the GMC really wants more high quality applications to be able to spend those funds, right? We're moving towards that, right? With the new processes we're creating, we're seeing more applications come in. We're accepting more high quality applications, but we need everyone to do that, right? We need everyone to submit things. I need people to message me, right? Message me, hey, I have an idea. It's my job to facilitate those conversations. So even if it doesn't make sense, there's someone like me or anyone else, any of these committee members you meet today, that can get you in the right place you need to be to make a difference and keep improving Rocket Pool. So how to get more involved, kind of like what I just talked about. So a bunch of you may have attended the community sessions yesterday. I hope it was a great time for you guys. So this is the compilation. This is a very short list, right? This is 20, 30 or so items. There was probably 100 items if I wrote down everything all right yesterday, right? So these are items that were identified by the community that we should be working on, we should be improving, right? So you could take any one of these items and say, hey, I have an idea for this, right? Let's do a bounty. Let's have someone else fund this, or I want to work on this myself. So there's so much room for opportunity there. Opportunity there, and we just need to jump on it. And to that point, one thing that has worked really well recently in the past for the GMC was the Rapid Research Incubator Program. The GMC's goal is to replicate or duplicate that system and target some of these things, right? So for those of you who don't know, the tokenomics proposal earlier by Valdorf and Samus was created from that, right? So we had, amazing team involvement in the review process, yeah, amazing community members in the review process, sitting down, kind of like collecting all these suggestions and, compiling it into a usable proposal. So basically doing that for any of these things, and, that's the GMC's goal, to use a machine like that to crank out more potential funding. So contact me if you have any questions at all. I was saying yesterday, basically at this point, I've given up on anyone spelling my name correctly. So I feel bad for the next speaker. Right now, well, it didn't work, but I will do a poll later today. For 1 month, I will be changing my name to one of your suggestions, since you're not going to spell my name right anyway. And yeah, that's a GMC. Get in touch with me, and thank your fellow management committee members for all the hard work they do improving Rocket Pool.
Shifrin, come back. We've got some questions. Thank you so much, Shifrin. We've got one question from the Discord,
Sure.
and that question is: will the GMC be willing to fund core protocol work on the Rocket Pool protocol? And if not, then what are the barriers for that happening?
Yeah, so I can't answer that now because I think that a lot of that comes down to me figuring that out with the team. And because it's kind of more up to them. Obviously, like we've discussed, we have funds. It's just making it work and making it work in a way where we can kind of like collaborate and be compatible with each other, right? So we're very much open to that, but it's more of like, how does that work? And can we, make sure that we can do it in a way where it works. But we can talk on that more. I think that there's ways we can like continue that conversation. But as of this moment, the GMC would like to, as long as it makes sense and it would work.
What advice would you give to a protocol that's approaching the GMC and wants to, start ideating on potentially getting funding for some kind of either integration or something they want to build on top of Rocket Pool? And further, in the cases where some project is like deferred, what advice would you have for them then?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go. I'll start with deferred. So one thing that me particularly has been really trying to work on is the language, and we've updated the language a lot because how the rules work is when a project is deferred to us, that literally means we didn't have enough time to come to a decision, right? We tried to get everyone in the room, like we tried to come up with as much data as possible. So one of these like optimizations the GMC started early on in the process was doing monthly rounds, right? So we have 1 month to figure out a lot of things, and there's a ton of benefits that come from that, right? There's like potential more funding, there's more applications coming through, but the downside is we can't figure everything out in a month, right? So how it works is for the deferral in the GMC's mind, it's like, okay, we need another month to figure this out, and behind the scenes, like those conversations start happening over that month, right? So it's not like it's just radio silence and we figure it out again at the end of the next month. We're collecting more data. We're trying to connect more people. Like for instance, talk to the SSV guys today. They were deferred, and now we're just getting more people in the room to figure out how to make a good decision for the following round. I forget, what was the first question? Did that answer both of them, or?
So the first question is like, what do you suggest about a protocol or group that's looking to just start thinking about the GMC? Like, what are the first?
Yeah, so that's a great question. One friction I've seen is that, we have templates, we have a place to go to apply, we have a process, and there's a lot where they want to like, kind of like prepare for that, kind of like they want to like start the conversations before that. But it's better to just start that process, because I think the GMC's really adapted to be able to, when the first couple months they started, it was like approve or deny, right? And that wasn't their intention. It was just kind of like what they had to do because the processes weren't built. But now that the processes are built, it's much more of a communication, right? So we have that application. That's something we can look at and, you know, build and expand upon those communications. So to answer your question, I would say, you know, apply, and then that's when we start, like, it's our job to kind of like figure out that relationship, connect, and make it work. If we want it to work, you know, if the GMC wants it to work.
Thank you so much, Shifrin. That was wonderful. We're just going to need 1 minute before we start the next talk.